When you look at the huge fireball that erupted at the moment of impact, why do you think the Coast Guard plane was the only aircraft to sustain fatalities?
Well, some of this is just sheer mass and physics. An Airbus A350 is a huge aircraft, upwards of 400 people, versus a twin-engine turboprop. And so some of that, perhaps too, the crew, it appears, might have seen something at the last minute and tried to make it hop over the aircraft somewhat to make it more of a glancing blow. But the fact is, it's still an extraordinary event here that we're talking about, this really dramatic collision, and 379 people, every last person on board that airliner, survived. It's truly extraordinary, and a testament to a little bit of technology, a sharp cabin crew that did their job well. And frankly, let's not forget that ultimately these passengers saved themselves by getting up in a relatively orderly way, not trying to get their carry-on bag, and sliding down those slides. And they're all alive today as a result.
Safety regulations require the evacuation of all passengers in 90 seconds. 90 seconds. So while it's a miracle everyone on board the Japan Airlines flight survived, this evacuation apparently followed protocol.
Yeah, I don't love the term miracle, because so much work has gone into this idea, so much effort in putting less flammable materials inside these aircraft cabins, so much thought into how many exits and slides and what the flight crew should say and how they should execute all that. All of that came together here. But I will say this, Jake, a lot of us were skeptical on these big wide-bodied aircraft, whether it really was practical to get a group that large out of an aircraft in that much time. And here we have a real-life demonstration that it can be done. So all of us who fly should bear this in mind. Pay a little attention to that briefing. There are crashes that are survivable, but it's not purely by chance.
You look at this footage, given kind of your innate sense of how this industry works, how airlines work, what do you see happened here?
I'm seeing a wake-up call here, Phil, around the world, also especially here in the U.S. We'll get to that in a second. The images are incredible. You can see the Airbus A350 burning there. But what is really poignant to me is the video from NHK where you see this Japan Airlines Flight 516 flight come into land on runway 34 left at Haneda Airport. This is very telling here, because you can see the immediate aftermath of the nose gear on fire of this plane as it's decelerating down the runway. What we do not see is what is just out of frame on the right. We don't see the moment of collision with that Japanese Coast Guard Dash 8. That's a twin turboprop airplane. We know that 6 people were on board that plane. 5 of them are dead. The captain is in critical condition. Haneda Airport, this happened around 5:47 p.m. local time, about 3:47 a.m. here on the East Coast. As 4 runways, there are 2 parallel runways that go north and south. This was on runway 34 right, and then there are 2 other parallel runways that sort of buttress that on the north edge and the south edge of the airport. The real question here is who was in the wrong place at the wrong time? And the question that investigators will really look at is whether or not it was this Japan Airlines flight or whether it was the Japanese Coast Guard flight.